All right, guys, welcome to the podcast again. This is Mert, and right across from me we have Dora Oncul. Would you like to present yourself, Dora?
My name is Dora Oncul. I'm an art student at Rhode Island School of Design. That's how I introduce myself, sadly. I'm a hectic person.
Yeah. So, Dora, thank you for coming to New York, all the way from Providence. I hope everything's all good there. You and I, we discussed this beforehand before the podcast about social media and Instagram, um, and how and yeah, the other day I was thinking about this how we so when you look at your Instagram, I see a sort of a pattern, and I think you also see a pattern in our Instagram profiles, like as in um, how many likes we get on what kind of photos. You know what I mean? Like, um, like, like how what sort of photos do you like sort of like get more likes, get more attraction, get more diverse audiences.
Um, so first of all, me being an art student, my Instagram, I do like very weird layouts and grids, and they all like follow like a certain structure. And then people always told me just if you just post the photos of yourself with your friends, you would get more likes rather than adding text, adding like some background and putting the photo in a frame. I despise that because I was like, I started this and I need to be consistent about it. Those are like, I introduced two dynamics about social media. One is like what content you present and how consistently you present it within the same style. Um, and once you think about it, people like untouched photos more, in a sense that if I just post without a style but just candid moments of my life, including fun moments,
Like sort of lifestyle kind of things.
lifestyle kind of genre, gets more likes because it doesn't appeal to a niche per se. It appeals to like a
Mainstream audience.
a mainstream audience,
Yeah.
because you having fun with your friends can appeal to anyone, including your grandma to your like best friend.
Yeah, so I also see that. There was this one time, so back in May, I started posting like really like non-mainstream photos on Instagram. I think you sort of noticed like there was a pattern. Like my photos were like sort of, you could say like artsy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was posting random shit. Yeah, maybe you could say like that. For me, they weren't random. Like there was some artistic like.
Value that you put on your photos, but does that value apply to your audience? That's the thing.
Yeah, so it doesn't really apply to them as much. Like it does apply to some people, like especially people who sort of like get it. Like they sort of get the artistic. Like there's okay, this guy. People who have sort of like an artistic aptitude, sort of can see. Okay, this guy posted this. It's pretty good, and I'm gonna like it. Or like maybe they just like it just because oh, it's Mert. He's posting random shit. I'll just like it for the sake of like
They either
liking
like it for the creator, which they know you as a person, or they like it for the artistic merit behind it. But can artistic merit can be questioned through how many likes does it get through Instagram? Because then I would say a good artwork, a good image, requires more questions than it gives answers. And then people like get sudden answers in social media, because social media is like happens in such a robust pace, in a sense that they don't want to be questioned by the image. They want the image to give them something, a reward, for instance.
Like for example, what sort of reward would you think?
Let's talk about those images which get like really wild, or like
Really good likes.
really get like a lot of likes, and then the reward is generally like it's either a funny cat picture, because then there's a laugh, or it's like a sudden response, so they don't really have to like put effort to reveal the image. The image is very apparent in itself. It is either like one of the celebrities are there, like, and you can just spot a celebrity because they look very similar to you, or you have seen their faces like a lot before. There's the cat image, which is very funny. There's your image.
What do you mean the cat image? Like it's just like a cat video, or like a cat
Yeah,
photo,
a funny
photo.
cat video.
Okay.
Because that is relevant to everyone still.
Okay, like because everyone likes dogs and like animals and like it's appealing, and so like it's cat photos, cat videos, dog photos, dog videos, and like I mean then again, yeah, like I usually send out the things that I send out most of the time are dog photos and like cat videos, and like people like say, oh, that's so cute, that's so nice, and it does appeal to them. But apart from that, like I think the photos that get the most likes are like when you are in the frame, when you physically are in the frame, because like when you look sort of like a celebrity,
Yeah.
when you have that celebrity vibe in your photos, then you get more.
Let's take social media to like an offline basis. Imagine you're walking on the street. So imagine you see a cute cat or like a person walking a really cute dog. You would stop. You would either like go interact with the dog, go interact with the cat, and like leave your some time off the street to actually spend time with them. But on the contrary, if you see a friend of yours, you're more likely to spend more time with the image or with the friend of yours.
Oh, with the friend. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, with the
Than the dog,
friend, than the dog. And if you take this example, reflect that to how Instagram interaction works. If you see your friend of yours in the feed, you're likely to spend more time, give more likes, actually take the time to put a comment on the photo itself. And if your friend's face is very apparent and very noticeable in your like scrolling time, that actually means that it will be like more appealing, or like not necessarily more appealing, but easier for the eye to notice that it is your friend. Imagine like I'm walking on the street with like a beanie and a hat, and people cannot easily notice that as me. Or imagine I'm walking on the street with the backpack that I have been using for the last 5 years, so people actually know that it is me.
And also, like, maybe it's also like if you're like sort of different than your usual self, like Instagram is sort of like that, sort of like a medium where like you sort of showcase or highlight the best moments of your life or the best moments of you, and that's when people have more appeal to it. Like the more you like it wouldn't, I don't think it would be good if you like took like really bad photos of yourself and put it on Instagram, and I don't think like that would get a lot of appeal. But if you post like photos that are like, I don't know, like you post a photo from like middle of the street in Fifth Ave, or like if you take a photo on Times Square, even though that's very generic, it's gonna get more posts than like, I don't know, like you taking it, like you're gonna get more likes in a photo where you're in front of Times Square, you're in the frame, than just a photo of Times Square. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like when you're in the frame, people are gonna like it more because they're engaging with you. They don't
plus the Times Square.
Plus the Times Square, and they don't really like.
You're giving them a story that you were in Times Square once.
Yeah, and that's appealing, I guess. Because like when I look at my Instagram, I'm telling this to everyone who's listening right now. Go to your Instagram and look at, like, scroll down, and I bet that the photos that have the least likes are the ones that have to deal less of you, and the ones who get the most like are the ones that you are in frame or you are a heightened version of yourself. I think that's a way to sort of see it, because like if you post like random shit, just like a movie poster or some abstract art, not a lot of people are gonna like it as much as like photos of you looking good and like in a.
But then I think if you think about how you can introduce big talk to Instagram, in a sense that like you get a lot of cues from how people try to represent themselves, and then Instagram is the way to like they can represent themselves over time, and it is reachable to other people even without their presence. And then because I think those photos take like those photos that people took the effort to actually make them look cool take more appeal because people actually took the time to present themselves well.
Yeah.
Therefore, you in a party where you're dressed up really nice, has more appeal than you in your pajamas, or you in your normal day self.
I do think this though as well. You can't always put photos of yourself. It can't. If you put always you, that's sort of gonna, like, if you post of yourself every day, it's sort of gonna be very inorganic, or I would say more like rudimentary. Like it's repetitive. Like if it's very repetitive, I don't think, like, because I've seen those profile like Instagram profiles where you see it and then first you're appealed by it and then later on they're posting the same type of photo of themselves over and over again. And after a while you just like lose track.
I'm still going to apply this to like real life. So imagine like I'm your friend and like whenever you talk to me, like you talk about something else, and so that is me posting in a variety of like different pictures. And if I was just posting the same picture, like same kind of picture every day, it is your neighbor that you say like hi every morning, and you always have same kinds of conversations with that person.
Yeah, I think that's like when you like just get a stable, steady like track. Yeah. That's like it doesn't go low, but it doesn't go higher. It just stays the same.
So your neighbor only adds like a certain type of happiness to your day. It never like makes your day any better. It never makes your day any worse. And therefore, after a while, the body loses the tendency to like show a stimulus to the neighbor. To the neighbor being actually people with very regular pictures.
So that's an interesting example. So if we go with the neighbor example, okay, what does a neighbor have to do to get your attention? Like, what does the neighbor have to do? Like, if he's in that stage where like he's just like, hey neighbor, like that if that's how what does
throw
that
a
person
barbecue party?
What?
Throw a barbecue party, or like other neighbors actually come. So if the neighbor posts, okay, neighbor being the metaphor, if the person posts a picture with like other friends having a barbecue party, for instance, where you can actually be involved as well, putting diversity into the conversation, or the neighbor buys a new car, so you post a picture with your new car, which I don't really recommend, but please do so.
Well, like how so what's the Instagram or like the social media equivalent of throwing a party in your house?
Yeah, what is the posting a photo and then tagging a lot of your friends, like having a lot of people in the photo, and then getting interaction with their accounts as well, because once you tag them, it also appears in their account.
Okay.
So if you throw a party, they also come and like they spend time with you in the party. They are in their time frame. So this time it goes to your feed as well. It goes to their feed as well. It's a mutual interaction within the platform of Instagram.
What's the I sort of get that. I see like the person in Instagram as sort of like it's like you shine a light upon the world. It's getting really philosophical, but like hear me out. You sort of shine a light upon the world, okay? And I'm not gonna go like it's not a big light, it's not a small light, it's just like medium average light. And I would say the more you show your face, like the more you post your face, the more you like sort of interact with other people by showing yourself and so on, you sort of intensify the reach of your light, of your sort of your being. But if you show it, but the range is still there. The range is like stable. So what you do is you diversify your photos. Not just that's why I'm saying you can't post all the time the same you. You have to diversify up your content within your profile. And that's why I sort of like got into the mood of like posting, artwork or like that kind of stuff, because I mean that is also me. That's like I'm not some mainstream rudimentary like person who's just only posting about himself. I have other interests than me, like let's say art or film, like specifically in this case. So I post things about film or art or other things like things that interest me. And so the more I post things like that, I'm gonna get less likes. But the next time I post, like that's sort of how like you for a while don't post about yourself. you post about other things, and the moment when you post about yourself, you get more likes than ever, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's because of that previous activity, by posting things that are of your interest, and that sort of, you're increasing the range of your audience.
Yeah.
The range, like because like Instagram is saying, okay, this guy's into film, this guy's into this, so we can the next time he posts, let's say, something of himself, it's gonna widen the range of his audience.
My comment on that would be like the absolute other side. So like ASAP Rocky, which is a rapper, had his profile with only like a ambiguous profile picture and no post at all before he launched the album. Because he was creating tension until the reach of his album. So you go to his profile, he has like many followers, but then there's nothing in the profile, and then you go like, what ASAP Rocky is up to in the music world. You as a fan want to know about ASAP Rocky's lifestyle, which you're given like zero information about, and therefore like after the album, he consistently posted photos from like the process of the album. But because the album is there, the photos lead you to listen more of the album. So it's more like the strategy of him was to create ambiguity, to not reveal any parts of it, like not reveal the layers of his personality until the Instagram business, until the product is out there to show.
Okay, but
to interact with.
Can that be? But ASAP Rocky is like a celebrity. Could that be applied to like average people on social media who are sort of like trying to gain an audience?
The difference between ASAP Rocky and then let's talk about like you and I is that we have less people wondering about what are we up to on a daily basis, but we still do have a very small audience that really go to our profiles and check it out. We don't know who they are. ASAP Rocky does not know who checks his profile, but ASAP Rocky's audience is about his music. Our audience is about the things we share about ourselves.
Yeah.
So they should have a reason to go, like they should have a drive to go to our profile and check it out.
Okay.
I think that is the same thing. Like the same principles kind of apply. It's just reach is a bit smaller. And if you want to grow out your reach, I wouldn't necessarily say put a lot of variety in the pictures you send, but like put more content and then be more insightful about yourself.
Like a specific content, like it's not just you. It's like a content you're interested in, but like it has to be sort of not too narrow, but like sort of in a range. In a
range of being like very much you nerding about something that you're really interested about, but then and to being like very irrelevant, for instance. If you placed yourself well on the list, you will get the attention of the people.
Have you ever seen? Have you ever known someone who's like sort of in that social media like celebrity level? Ever known someone who's like has got like what I don't know, like a million subscribers?
I know this girl like called I know two. I know this one girl called Elif, and then she's from Bursa, and then she modeled for like Weatherman's or like those brands she modeled for like Vogue Turkey, and that means all the interactions that she had outside of her profile created a lot of like brought a lot of audience to her own profile, because she was like you being tagged in like one of the Weatherman's page means you'll get a lot of clicks out of that page, which already has like a very, very solid audience. The other girl has like a YouTube channel where she talks about her life and like makeup and other content.
DIY,
yeah, DIY stuff.
Yeah.
And because she has a big audience on YouTube, she easily transferred that audience to Instagram, because though like audiences can be transferred into like those two mediums. But I don't specifically know a person that created his own legacy solely through Instagram, because I think it works holistically. So I was thinking, like I was researching about Virgil Abloh, which is like a big entrepreneur like the fashion industry at this very moment. And then the guy used to like hold parties while he was a student, and then he could rent a very like shitty, not so famous bar, and then his flatmate with bartender, and he would be the DJ. Just because of his social interactions being so successful, people will still show up. Same thing. If your social interactions in real life are so successful, people will still show up in your now being shitty Instagram page, but because people show up, it will grow and grow organically.
So I have a question. So what do you usually do on your Instagram profile? Like what do you usually post?
I think I also noticed the fact about when I post pictures of myself, I get more likes, and therefore I enjoy posting pictures of myself more because I also have a gain, like an emotional gain. When I get more likes, I feel good about myself, and when I get less likes, I feel like why people don't like the things I do.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's like when you get a like or like a beep of a like, you sort of get a dopamine. Up in your brain. Yeah, it gives you a boost of dopamine every time you get a like, sort of, and like you sort of get addicted to the concept.
Addicted to getting dopamine from other people liking you on a platform. Even like once you post something, you refresh constantly to see if you have received more likes on Instagram or not. So I work around that concept, but I think I try to put like a twist on everything in a sense that I don't make it super obvious that what my next post would be. I lay out them in a certain way, just like there's like a revealing part of the next post, so people can infer if they're like my close friends and if they have seen the pictures before. Yeah, but generally I understand the discussion being like, I know I will get more likes if I just post a picture of myself.
Does that sort of make you feel like you are forcing yourself into like showing yourself as someone you're not? Does it ever feel like that?
I think we're all different people on our social media platforms, because you can absolutely understand one person's persona, one person's you can understand my hidden desires when you check my Instagram. So how I present myself would be utterly different than how I am in like actually real life. But they have a direct correlation as well. So like if I have friends, I would have pictures with friends, but I will post the pictures on a time that I feel very lonely, per se.
Oh.
Or
to get that dopamine.
To get that dopamine. So like, or I went to a music festival this summer. It was really amazing, and I have less pictures of the music festival on Instagram. I went to a Macklemore concert 2 weeks ago. It wasn't that good, and therefore I posted it to Instagram because I expected a lot from the concert and it wasn't really good. I needed the extra dopamine to make it okay.
Compensate for
to compensate
for the shitty concert.
To compensate for the shitty concert, because then
Because like I sort of feel like you can also see that phenomenon within like the profile, like the original profile, Instagram profile, and the Finsta account profile, like Instagram account, like the original Instagram account and your Finsta account. Like I have friends who just post like, I wouldn't say really funny shit, but it's more authentic. It feels a little bit more authentic than the actual Instagram account. It's more about them, but like it really going into like what they're doing and like what they are actually doing, and they sometimes also post like more intimate, more personal stuff rather than the stuff like. When you look at the difference between like in the descriptions, let's say, you would say like this. I mean, I'm the exception to that because I don't know. I post stuff that are supposed to be on Finsta I don't have a Finsta.
Me too.
Like I don't have a Finsta, but like I act as if my original account is like a Finsta, and I post shit that is like I have like a picture, and then there's like a poem underneath it, or like something abstract, or something like that have like long descriptions. Whereas when I look at other people's social media, like
it needs to be
pictures,
brief.
it's very brief. It's like a very soundbite kind of description,
or like just
sunny day in New York, or like, you know,
my friend used to tell
yeah.
me just like you just put emojis because they're like just like universal pictures. They don't comply to like any language,
Yeah.
and therefore like you can get likes from like everyone, from like people, you know, from like every nation, and then they're like easy, very digestible. I understand that, but if you take the comparison between your Finsta account being like very poem-like, and then you're like showing your intimate world, to your normal Instagram being your like the mask you put on yourself, you like if you write poems in your free time, you will only read the poems to the people who will give the emotional.
How about we start from that?
Yeah, so like you would only share the poems you write as a person with the people who you
Are
feel
close to you. Yeah.
emotionally secure about sharing your poems. That, you know, they won't make fun of your poems. They will try to like understand your emotions, and if just and then imagine then you go to like a school event, for instance. The attire you have on yourself is like utterly different than the attire when you are sharing your poems with your fans.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand the distinction between the social intimate account and the social image account. One is more about one is more about the ethos of social interactions being like, you know, you try to play within the rules, and the logic of like how you present yourself to other people.
Yeah, like you're more strategic within your original account, and you're trying to give out like a style or a theme that is, you know, more mainstream, or like it's a heightened version of yourself. Let's say,
Yeah.
it's like a more of a heightened version of yourself, or a version that, you know, that is something that is worth being attracted to. Whereas in Finsta, it's not something you know, it can be worth attracted to, but it's more of a leeway for you to invite people over to your life. That, you know, it can be more intimate. Like it can you like stuff that are more embarrassing, you know. That you're fine with sharing with your friends.
Yeah.
Like embarrassing photos, embarrassing videos.
The time that you got really drunk, and
Yeah,
like
the time
were
you got
just
really
sleeping
good
on the
shit.
couch.
Yeah, shit face, or like you know, doing, you know, doing a shit ton of alcohol, getting shit faced, or like going crazy at a party, like stuff that are like would not be. You wouldn't, if you had a PR guy, a traditional PR guy. You would be like, keep your Finsta as low as possible. Don't let other people see it. Like, just keep it really tight. And in your other account, make it as such nice and polished as much as possible. Like, if you look at a PR standpoint in your Instagram accounts, like you as a PR person, assuming that you want a wider audience, assuming that you want more likes and so on, you would have to rely on your original account rather than your Finsta account. And like most Finsta accounts, they don't have much likes. They don't have much.
Because Finsta account is not about getting likes. Like if we go back to the conversation of like, can you assess an artwork by the likes that it gets? Not really. It's more about the conversation that it creates. On the contrary, like all the political campaigns, if you take a Trump political campaign, or if you take a brand like Apple, they all have a very very consistent visual graphic sense that when you see an Apple ad, before looking at the picture, you know it's an Apple ad.
Yeah.
When you see a Trump ad without looking at the text, you know it's a Trump ad, because they apply the same colors, they apply the same font, they apply the same visual language throughout the entire ad. People who are serious about Instagram, they edit their photos in a certain way, or like post a certain type of photo with consistent colors and like consistent captions, in a sense that without actually interacting or creating a conversation with the photo, people know it's that person posting the photo.
Yeah.
And therefore
you make that's the thing, like, because of like when I see some of those accounts and I see those pictures, when it's the same thing, I sort of lose interest. Like when I'm stimulated by the same thing over and over again, it's sort of like I'm not really attracted to it at some point. If it feels like an ad, if it feels like a brand, I don't want to interact with it anymore. And but if the person sort of posts other stuff, other things, like gives a different style, maybe if like that's, or rebranding, maybe we could go with that. Like it's not like you're still a brand, but you're rebranding your own brand in some ways. That's why like Coca-Cola also like, you know, when they're making their advertisements, yeah, they have a very specific style, but they're also rebranding themselves and you know, going other routes with their, reach of audience and advertisement. I think that's the same thing with Instagram accounts. You gotta sort of like, you can't be so far out, and that's sort of, for me, unfortunate, because I would prefer people to post things that are very diverse and different and like can show all aspects of their lifestyle, and of course assuming that they're willing to do that and they're comfortable with it. But when you have sort of this environment where you have to sort of restrict yourself and be like you have to like show yourself in a very specific way, that that if you go out of that, people are gonna stop following you. It's sort of unfortunate, and but then again, I do understand that you have to sort of show yourself upon the world, but also you shouldn't be so stable or rigid within your image. You have to show that you've changed a little bit. You have to show that you're changing your um, showing a different side, even though it's not so far-fetched, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And or like, I don't know, like,
So the question you're asking is like, I'll take the brand Apple as a brand that
like
has
what,
like a
what,
very
what,
very
like,
consistent audience.
my question is like, what make how much does it take for you to not become a brand, a very like but like a very very like bland, like,
Yeah, I get it.
rudimentary brand, like you just like like, because people don't like ads, people like skip ads as much as often,
As much as possible.
as much as possible. It's like, what does it take for you to become not an ad, but also something that is appealing, like a product or a brand or something like that.
So I was like, still I'm gonna reference Apple in a sense. Like the food of thought here is people are really excited about their new events, just because they collab with filmmakers like Spike Jonze, who have like a really specific style. As like he made the movie Her. He's a music video director, so they take his style and then make it work within the language of Apple. So those collaborations between different people, different accounts, different creative forces create a brand that is also surprising to the audiences, so they are excited to see something new about it.
Yeah.
And if you as a persona / brand are also always producing the same content, it gets always gets rudimentary after a while. If you can unleash the potential within yourself and do what Apple does with Spike Jonze, interact with your friends as I am interacting with you, and you're putting diversity into your podcast, for instance.
Yeah.
Interact with other people and get their creative input in your Instagram page. I think that is one of the best things to do.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think, yeah, there's so much, like, social media is so much, it's growing so much, and like, when you look back past 5 years, there's like the reach and like how much social media has been embedded in our lives is like has been, to say the least, very interesting. And I'm also, I wonder where this is gonna go, like in the next 15 years, like, because social media is like a new thing. It's just been around since, I don't know, like approximately a decade. Approximately a decade. It's very new.
Smartphones being launched in like 2007.
Yeah, it's very new, and it's just started to become part of our lives, part of our economy, and so on. And I really wonder where it's gonna go through. But then again, still, if we're gonna go with this, social media phenomenon, I mean, then, and if you want to stay intact, I mean, there are specific rules that you sort of have to like go along by, and it depends on what you're willing to go for it, what you're willing to get out of social media.
Let's say like this, like we are born to this world, and there are like social norms that you should apply to become like, you know, socially successful and
Yeah.
have friends, right?
Yeah.
Say same rules and same cult, like a social media is creating a cult for itself, and you should apply, like you should go by the rules to get friends on social media. The interesting thing, like the food for thought here would be, you and I can be sitting in a restaurant and we might prefer looking at our phones and interacting, you know,
With each other, yeah. Or at a party.
virtually rather than interacting with each other. So
Mm-hmm.
how, like, can social media interaction is going, like, can that replace normal interactions that we have in real life? And what is the psychological and emotional output of that to the individual?
That's an interesting topic. I mean, I would say that's an interesting question. Like, can social media replace actual, you know, normal traditional human interaction? I'd say, I mean, seeing a correlation between, you know, anxiety, depression, and loneliness within teens than ever in this generation, I'd say that has to do a lot with social media, because like as we were saying, we were talking about the dopamine thing. You know, you're dependent on the way that you're dependent on social media and likes and I mean, you and I don't think we're like that dependent on social media per se, but I'm sure you've seen people who are like without posting a pic each week or every now and then, every 2 or 3 days, it just sort of like it bugs them off. It's like sort of like you know how you see a cigarette, someone who smokes not smoking for a couple of days, and they sort of like they're really, you know, like anxious about, you know, not getting their likes or not posting, or sometimes they get, you know, they get pissed off because they don't have the likes that they normally get.
So if I just give an example from my life from yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday, me and my girlfriend, we went to Central Park to ice skate in the Central Park ice skating rink. And then the moment we got on the ice, we skated a while. 5 minutes later, she has to post that the fact that she's ice skating with her boyfriend to multiple social media platforms.
So like, does that turn you off? Like, you know, that whole moment, like just like being reduced to a social media platform.
Yeah, I think like it's used, like it turns me off in a second per se. That it's just like I want my interactions to be like as intimate as possible. But I think a 21st century individual should get used to it, because then I was being very very unforgiving about this, and then I just noticed people do it regardless, and then it's like, you know, you need to get used to people sharing moments on like social media. Even like I remember 2 of my friends, they had a norm whenever they go out to like, you know, dine together, they would spend 15 minutes talking to each other and then 5 minutes like, you know, spending on their phone. But just like they wouldn't find that weird in a sense that, like, you know, one of the people in the conversation, he was really into his phone. He was really addicted to his phone, and he just needed to check his phone like once every 10-15 minutes, retain the conversation there, and then keep on the conversation that he's having offline. Which I think is very interesting, because he needs to do both at the same time. But which one is he giving the full attention? None of them. So the fact that he's multitasking here reduces the intensity of both interactions, and they both stay as small talk. I would rather, if I'm in social media, I would rather be on my bed alone, you know, talking on the phone, you know, doing something on the social media, chatting with someone, having a virtual interaction. And then if I'm actually with someone, I would prefer to, like, you know, have fully with that person. But in reality, I fail to do so because, you know, something comes up to your phone, you check it regardless. Because you like that dopamine reward, you like to get a notification on your phone, and then you seek for it. And
it feels like, oh yeah, people still acknowledge my existence. Is that sort of a thing?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like people acknowledge that I exist.
Somebody
texted
texted me and I'm happy about it, because then they, you know, from out of all the other people, they texted me.
Yeah.
And then that makes me feel special.
It could be said that, here's a good question, like the more we're moving we're going into a direction into 21st century where we're living in cities more than ever, and we're choosing occupations that could leave us to live lonelier lives in the city, and not interacting with people often. So maybe what it could be said that social media is sort of helping us get out of that. Because just think about it, if you had no social media right now, and with the schedules you have on the stuff that you do, you're not, it could be said that you're going to, without social media, you would have less social interaction with other people. It could be said that. But also there's a downside of it, which is that it sort of reduces the authentic experience of human interaction as well sometimes. It's sort of my end of the take is that you sort of have to balance it out in this upcoming 21st century of having authentic relationships, but also using social media as a tool to sort of connect more with people. You shouldn't rely it on as that your only human experience, human interaction. You need to see it as a tool for you to reach out to more people who may align with your interests, or you can see what they're doing and what their interests are more closely and more effectively in a shorter amount of time.
I think like I watched this short movie, which is called Offline Dating. So it is about this guy, in UK, having Tinder as like a prime social. Is Tinder social media?
Tinder is social media.
Yeah. So like social media focused on dating. So he just wanted to have the same interactions on Tinder. So like you can actually like directly go to someone, ask if they want to go on a date with you on the street. So the guy actually what he did was like he approached many different like women on the street and said, "Would you go on a date with me?" Some of them just said no. Some of them were like into the idea but said no. And then one of a few he skated like with a girl, and then he ended up going to like a barbecue party of this Italian woman. And what is interesting about that, he was able to achieve what people normally do to like fill their Friday night on social media without the presence of social media. But if you actually like the bad thing is cities being more crowded than ever, you won't be able to see that person again in a city environment where social media enables you to do so, because you have the profile and you can reach them again. So I think for meeting new people.
So wait, repeat it again. So like with social media, even with social media and with crowded places, you're not going to be able to reach that person again. Like you meet that person on social media and then you never see them again. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's more like you meet someone face to face, and if you don't have any of their social media, your chances of seeing that person again
is low.
Are very like reductantly reduced in like cities that are constantly growing. If I would live in a town and then I met someone in a coffee shop, I might see them again in 2 weeks in the same coffee shop, because the alternatives of coffee shops in the towns are very limited. So I think it's about the people live. It's about how people live in cities and their dependency on social media, of being like keeping on to that social interaction. Because if that social interaction was a story, let it be that first interaction is episode 1. Episode 2 might never come. But episode 2 is you going to their social media profile and interacting again with their virtual self if you exchange social media.
Yeah. So I really wonder, like 20, 30 years later, when they're gonna do rom-coms or romantic dramas of people in our era. It's just by looking at someone else's profile pic is gonna be looked as if it's like a cute thing to do.
Yeah.
Sort of like like in the 50s, it was like considered cute to I mean, they're both stalking, and they're both walking in the stalking territory. But like, go with me. Like in the 50s, the guy would like take back to Shakespeare, like Romeo and Juliet, just like let's take this back to Romeo and Juliet. Romeo goes like sneaks up into the balcony and like goes out, tries to find Juliet. So that's the old story, and now the new story is like
The guy goes to his
goes to his phone and looks at like what she's doing, what she's going through. Like that's the modern Romeo Juliet balcony scene, you know. I think you know what I mean. It's like, but yeah.
But then also, like, if we take this conversation back to Instagram, many of people's profiles are private, and at the moment you send them a request, you go like, "Would you accept me to your social circle?"
Yeah.
It's not really like, "Can I Romeo Juliet you from the balcony? Can I actually like stay as your friend for a while?"
Yeah.
But if their public profiles open, they're actually Romeo Julieting them from the.
Have you ever been unfollowed on Instagram?
Yes, and that really pissed me off.
Like why? Why did I unfollow you? Was it because of a fight or something?
No, that's like, I think people unfollow me because we met at an event and then we just didn't keep on the conversation afterwards, but we just kept each other as like social media contacts. But
then for some reason just unfollow you.
For some reason they just unfollow me, and also like it sometimes makes me sad in a sense that I have like, even though last time I met that person was like 2 years ago, I have some memories of memories that I lived with that person that I kind of value in a sense, and if I like when I learn I don't have a place in their social media cycle anymore, even though it's very insignificant, I kind of think the value of my memories kind of diminish as well, because then I think the value they give to the memories that we had together is not the same as the value I give to the memories that I had with that person.
Yeah, that's something happened to me as well. Yeah, I was like, you're like sort of like deleted out of their conscious existence, you know.
Yeah.
Like you're just like deleted out of their conscious existence, and you're like, wait, and like it sort of it hurts because like a part of your soul is like embedded within that image, and then like it's gone, and that would really like, you know, emotionally hurt you. But then again, you know, people do what they need to do for various different reasons. But yeah.
And then
have you unfollowed someone?
Of course I did.
Oh yeah.
If they unfollowed me, like, bam. That you're not going to. I'm not going to be following you. If they're hot, I might still keep on following them. But I think like the opposite of that would be the person who you follow and they follow you back, even though you don't share offline memories together. You don't know them in real life, but you still follow each other, just because you share common friends.
No, yeah.
So you're in the same social circle.
You don't know them, but you like sort of. You don't know them, but like
you know their.
You
face.
don't know their friends, and you like sort of just keep in contact. Yeah, I get that. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. I really like this conversation, Dora. We should do this more often. You should come to New York more often, man.
Just for the podcast, had the 3.5 hour ride to New York.
Bring your girlfriend. We'll like continue the last like feminist the last feminist edition with her.
I think we can do that on Thanksgiving because now like she's flying.
But I'm gonna be in LA on Thanksgiving.
Wait, she lives in LA.
Oh, lives in LA. All right, great. Like she should come to me and Emin. You should meet Emin.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do a podcast with Emin and also Khalid maybe. Khalid Abu Salam. Yeah, shout out to you, fam. So yeah. All right. Well, if that happens, I'm looking forward to it. Come by, man. Like this is good talk. All right. Thank you all for listening. Peace out.